Hello, everyone. Greetings and salutations. Welcome back to another episode of the Back of the Pack podcast. I am your host, Kyle Walker. Thank you so much for joining me, as always. It is a lovely, sunny February day here in Kansas City, where I am at. And if you can't tell already, I am straining my voice with all it has to project any sound coming out of my mouth into the microphone. I'm not sick. That's good. I'm worse than that. I'm back from vacation. And anyone who's gone on a vacation and maybe done a little too much vacationing, you understand exactly what I'm talking about. So I spent the last week down in Jamaica, where some poor soul decided she wanted to marry me. I don't know what she was thinking, but we were down there with friends and family and an all-inclusive resort and a lot of food and a lot of alcohol. And I know I'm making it sound like this was just the worst thing ever. It actually was not. It was great and wonderful, but I'm paying for it now. That was 7 straight days of eating what I wanted to eat and drinking what I wanted to drink, no running, and very little water intake. Excuse me. See, there that was. That is the week that I had. So yeah, my voice is shot. Not to mention I was down there during the Kansas City Chiefs Cincinnati Bengals playoff game. We took over one of the bars at the resort, all of us from the party, and boy, howdy, did we do it up when the Chiefs won that game. There is video in this world circulating of myself doing a fully clothed front flip into the pool in celebration for the Chiefs' victory. That was fun. I remember very little of it, but yeah, so bear with me. I am back from vacation. I'm very glad to be back. Trust me. I mean, vacations are nice, but coming home is even better sometimes. Glad to be back. Still trying to recover. I got one training run in where I only did 2 miles. And then this morning's 5K, which we'll go over here in a second. So my training is way behind. My show preparation is way behind. And I am just kind of behind on everything, as will happen with vacation. So we're going to try and right the ship. We're going to try and get things going in the correct direction again. And that's kind of where we're at right now. So this episode is not going to have some big, deep message to it. We are not going to go over something really in depth. This is going to be kind of a hodgepodge episode where we're just going to talk about random various things throughout the running world. And, hey, sometimes those are the most fun. But first thing I wanted to start with is I want to thank our guest from last week while I was out of town. You got to listen to the interview I did with Back of the Pack podcast and Casey Hustle Club ambassador, Sarah. I hope you guys really enjoyed that. She was super fun to talk to. That was a really fun interview. And I hate how much she actually has me considering doing a triathlon. And if I sign up for one this year, it is all her fault. And I just want to make sure that everyone is fully aware. If Kyle does a triathlon, this is all Sarah's fault. The things I probably am going to do, I tell you what, but it was super fun. We will have more ambassadors on the show as the year goes on and as, schedules open up and allow, but we're definitely going to have everyone on to kind of tell their running story, because I know you guys have heard my running story on past episodes, and less of me, more of other people is a good thing. That will only lead to increased success of this podcast, because I get tired of listening to me, especially when I have the voice that I have right now that is struggling, to say the least. So that's where we are there. Another thing, and this is kind of the big news of the week. So everyone pay attention if you're not paying attention and if I'm just background noise. If you have ever wanted to run a full marathon, okay? If you haven't before, or maybe the one that you did wasn't great experience, or you're just looking for the next big challenge, this is your time, okay? We are now about to open the window of the New York Marathon Lottery. All right, I've got all the information you need right here, okay? So the New York Marathon Lottery, it opens on February 8th. All right, so the day of this recording is Sunday, February 5th. So Monday the 6th, Wednesday, February 8th. So you all should have heard this episode by now. Wednesday, February 8th through February 22nd. That is your window to enter your name into the lottery for the New York Marathon. And the race runs on November 5th, 2023. All right, so you got plenty of time to train. It's a fall race. It's a November race. Now, the one thing the New York City Marathon does that I don't like, and it's really the only thing about the race that I don't like, it's on Daylight savings time. So I know there was talk that we might be doing away with daylight savings time. I don't know when that takes effect, but previous years, that race always runs the Sunday of daylight savings time. So not only are you trying to navigate one of the biggest marathons in the world, you also have to take into account time change. And that makes things rather interesting. So yeah, other than the time change, which is the issue, the New York City Marathon, and I've talked about it before, probably in nauseating detail, but guess what? I'm going to do it again because I really cannot say enough good things about that race. My New York Marathon experience in November of 2021 was amazing. I loved it. I loved going to New York. Great place to visit. Wouldn't want to live there. I loved going to New York. I loved the race experience. I loved going to the expo. Race day was awesome. The course was amazing. But as I pointed out before, and as I'm going to point out again, what made that entire race experience were the people of New York. Now, they advertise that this race goes through the 5 boroughs. Okay, so it goes through Brooklyn and the Bronx and Queens and Harlem and Manhattan. And did I get them all? I might be forgetting one. Either which way, it goes through all those areas. And each of those areas is such a distinct difference from the other ones. Like, when you're in the Bronx and when you are in Brooklyn, and their city love just kind of resonates as you're running along the course. The crowd support was so amazing in New York that on that alone, I recommend this race to anyone looking to do a full marathon. And if you can make this your first full marathon, then you are just starting at the tip. You are starting at the top of this pyramid that is marathon running. And man, why not? Why not just go all out on your first one and get into what I think is probably, is it my favorite marathon? It might be my favorite marathon. You have favorite races for different reasons. Like the Baton Memorial Death March in Las Cruces, New Mexico. That was the single coolest experience because it was so historical. And I met people who were actually alive in World War II and who lived through the actual Baton Death March, which was not a full marathon. It was 60 miles. So I got to meet some of those. And it's very military themed and it's very historically based. So that was a super cool marathon. It might be my favorite marathon experience simply because of the history around it. Well, then you go over to, let's say, the Marine Corps Marathon. The Marine Corps Marathon, who in a couple of years is going to have their 50th anniversary. So it's a long-standing race. And it was super cool because of the landmarks you go by. You go by all the Washington, D.C. landmarks. At every mile marker, there is a group of Marines who are there to inspire you, who are there to motivate you, to keep you moving. If you want to do push-ups at mile markers, they will do it with you. If you need someone to run with you, a quarter mile down the road and then they run back, they'll do that. So the energy from the Marine Corps Marathon could make it my favorite marathon. But everything about New York was just amazing. You run by all the sites. You have crowd support like you have never felt before. You have an amazing finisher experience in Central Park. You have a great start experience starting going across one of the bridges of New York. You see everything, beautiful weather most of the time, beautiful day. So I don't know, I have favorite marathons for different reasons, but New York for all around experience might be my favorite marathon. The merchandise is second to none. I still wear the crud out of all my New York Marathon jackets that I bought. The merchandise was great. The expo was awesome. New Yorkers get a bad rap, and I'm sure at times it's justifiably so. I did not have a single bad experience with people. I was walking all up and down Times Square and Lower Manhattan and the World Trade Center Memorial, and I went to a Rangers game, and I did all this, and I did not have a single bad experience. I didn't run into a single jerk. I didn't run into a single stereotypical East Coast New York kind of guy. No, nothing. Everyone was perfectly pleasant, very nice, great experiences, good food, which is not great before a marathon, and then a great race day experience. So there is my exceedingly long-winded sales pitch for you to go and sign up for the New York Marathon. Lottery is open February 8th through February 22. Hey, February 22nd, that's my birthday. So that's real easy for me to remember when it closes. I'm probably going to throw my name in. I haven't told my wife this now. I might, end up in trouble, but I want to throw my name back in the hat just for the off chance that I make that race and can go do it again. Because when I did it in 2021, that was reduced field. That was a smaller field due to the Rona. I want to go back. And from what everyone told me, it was a much smaller crowd. And I'm thinking, are you serious? What I experienced, that's a small crowd for New York. There was a point, and I know I've told this story before. I'm going to tell it again for any new listeners. There was a point the runners had to run single file up the road because the crowd had surged onto the course so much. There was no room. There was not room for runners because the New Yorkers, man, they look at this thing like a party. This was a huge party. There were people with grills out. There were people drinking, people dancing, music playing, people cheering you on, screaming at you just because they were so excited. Like, I ran most of that race with a smile on my face, just witnessing and experiencing everything these people had brought to the race course. They upped their game for this, and it was awesome. So there we go, folks. There's your window. If you've ever wanted to do a marathon, and if you're not busy on November 5th, I cannot recommend this enough to you. By all means, get your name. It doesn't hurt. Hey, you may not make it, but get your name in the lottery for the New York Marathon. I promise you won't regret it. You will enjoy that experience. I don't know a single person who has done New York who had a bad experience. There we go. So today, switching gears, today we had a race for the podcast, and this was the Kickoff 5K, and that was held in Leawood, Kansas. So the Kickoff 5K it's been going on for quite a few years now, football themed. Normally it is on the day of the Super Bowl. But since they've moved the Super Bowl back an extra week and, they put in I guess they still call it the Pro Bowl, even though now it's a flag football game. It fell on today, the Pro Bowl day, the flag football day, the whatever day. It is not Super Bowl Sunday. That's next week. But it's been really great. And I will say we are so very lucky here in Kansas City that the Chiefs, our team that we are all just living and dying with, have been so good for the last 5 years. So it feels like every year when we do the Kickoff 5K, it is surrounding a Chiefs playoff victory or a playoff appearance or a Super Bowl appearance or Super Bowl victory. Like, we are spoiled rotten right now. And all my Kansas City people, please understand, we have been spoiled rotten these last 5 years with how good our football team has been and how much fun we are allowed to have this late into the year, thanks to our football team. So today was the Kickoff 5K. Big Red head coach Andy Reid was on this year's finisher medals, which was awesome. I've got the Patrick Mahomes finisher medal, got the Travis Kelce finisher medal. Now I've got the Big Red finisher medal. I did not do this the year that Tyreek Hill was on it, and the medal was really cool, and I appreciate the effort. I was never a Tyreek Hill fan, and so that year the medal didn't interest me, so I didn't do the race. So, hindsight being what it is, I made a great decision. At the time, I had a little FOMO, and I have to say that because I just very recently learned what FOMO meant, what fear of missing out. So I did have a little FOMO after I didn't run that race, but now what would I do with a Tyreek Hill Chiefs medal? I just look at it and kind of growl, like, a traitor, don't like you anymore. Didn't like him much anyway, but that's just me. Neither here nor there. The race was great. Kansas City Running Company puts on this race. Wonderfully done, as always. The course was great in the first mile. Boy, in that first mile, my first mile time was under 10 minutes. It was like 9:38. Now, I know for a lot of runners, that's nothing. Like, geez, man, what, were you running through concrete or something? No, I was running on it. Anyway, long way of saying for a lot, that's slow. I get it. For me, super fast. Like, I don't do 9 minute. I don't do single digit miles. All right. Normally it is a 10, 30, 11, somewhere in there. So I did a 9:38 first mile, and I'm thinking, oh, baby, I am cruising right along. Oh, look, there's the first mile marker. Oh, man, I'm going. Strava is telling me I'm doing great on time. Let me make this left turn at the light. Holy crap. Look at that hill. That puppy is straight up. Second mile was all hills, up two pretty sizable hills, maybe even three. And that certainly brought my pace back down to reality. So I think what did I do? Oh, man, I don't know. I finished the second mile at exactly 11 minutes. So exactly 11 minutes on the second mile. So from a 9:38 to an 11, whoops. But man, those hills were brutal. The last mile was a little more up and down, a little bit of flat, a little bit of straight, a little bit not too bad. Cruised it on into the finish line, finishing time of, I think, 31:15. So I'm flirting with a PR, but I'm not real enthused to go pull up my spreadsheet and see, ooh, did I PR or not? Because at least according to my Strava, that race measured really short. Now, if we go back to December, when I did a 5K, according to my Strava, I got a PR, but the course measured really long. So according to my chip time, it was not a PR. Exact opposite situation this time. According to the chip time, I very well could have a PR, but according to my Strava and distance, it would not be. So I don't know. I'm just going to stick to what I've always done. I'm going to use chip time. Chip time above all. I feel like that's kind of the most fair representation of how well I did. And if they measured the course long or short, I mean, hey, there's nothing I can do about that. There's nothing we can do if a course gets measured long or short. And it happens. I'm not sitting here bashing the course. It was a great course. I'm not sitting here bashing the race. It's a great race. Great finisher medal, good shirts, good vendors at this one. Everything was great. And if the course comes in a little short, fine. So be it. We will all live. I will live with whatever my time is. And if it's now number one on the spreadsheet of fastest 5Ks, okay, cool. Hey, super cool. Just gives me a new time that I'm trying to go beat, because I don't ever just want to say, oh, here's my PR and I'm done. I've been chasing new PRs for 12 years. And if you're not chasing new PRs, then our priorities might be a little different, or you might have found something that you enjoy more. But I'm always chasing that lower number. So that's just what I do. So thank you to Kansas City Running Company for putting on a great race. As always, I'm going to be right back with you guys in 6 days for the Sweetheart Shuffle. That is the Valentine's Day themed race running Saturday morning. I'm doing the 10K. And hey, you guys want to, okay, all right, let's talk. I'm going to out myself. I'll out myself as an idiot because this is just our Hodgepodge episode anyway, right? So this morning, I am sleeping like a champ. I'm still trying to recover from being out of town. Everything's going good. A dog jumps on my bed and wakes me up at 7:11 in the morning. Okay. I don't ever sleep that late. I am a 6 a.m. riser. It doesn't matter if I was out partying the night before and just got to bed, at 5:30. I wake up at 6 and I'm awake. So for me to sleep till 7:11 and be woken up by a dog instead of waking up myself, that is saying something. That means I needed some sleep. Holy cow. Only problem is I had an 8 a.m. race today. 8 o'clock in the morning. I'm waking up at 7:11. I look at the clock and I go into panic mode. I run downstairs to let the dogs outside. I run back upstairs to get dressed. I throw on all my running gear, quick as can be. I think I might have had time to look at myself in a mirror just to make sure that I wasn't a complete fright, but I don't even remember if I did that. I am in the car and vroom, I am down the road. All right. And I am cruising along. I am breaking most of the speed laws posted along the side of the highway because in my mind, I'm going to run late. I'm putting it into my GPS on my phone. It says that I will be there 15 minutes before race time. Okay. So, and I don't have my packet yet. I still got to go to packet pickup. I got to get my stuff. I got to get my bib on, maybe have a split second to stretch out or get my legs loose. It's a cold morning. Started right at 32 degrees Fahrenheit. So down the road, I get there, I pull in. And the moment I pull in, and earmuffs, kids, if need be, the first thought in my head was, oh, shit. There's barely anyone there. It was a 9 a.m. start time, not an 8 a.m. start time. So I put myself in a complete panic only to be there ridiculously early as opposed to almost on time. So, folks, the long and short of that one is, my dearest friends, always double check when the race starts. Don't be the idiot that's there super early or the idiot that's there trying to get his bib and get in the line for the porta-john, with 5 minutes until race time, because that's not going to work well for you either. But yeah, there you go. There's the lesson of today's show. There's our big thing. Always double check your race time so that you are not an idiot like me who works himself into a frenzy only to be there an hour and 10 minutes early, as opposed to being, like 15 minutes before race time. I could have kicked myself. I really could have kicked myself. So I stood outside in the cold, and hey, it was great. I got to talk to people, talk to all the folks. William and Amanda, let's see, Mark and Sarah, ambassadors of ours, Ran into Chris out there, Karen, Jenny, and there's more. And I'm sorry, I always do this. I always kind of just space on who else I saw. The thing is, and what's cool about that is like we're seeing a lot of people. We are making a lot of friends at these races, and that is by far the best. So all the people out of the kickoff 5K this morning, great job, everyone. Good run. Well done. I know our buddy Will, he is on the comeback trail from injury. He's looking good today. Amanda's still out there beating most of the fools. Alex, our guy Alex, of course, he was in the hunt for winning this thing overall. Don't know how he did, but I know he was out there pounding the pavement, getting going. So it was great to see everyone. It was nice that I actually had time to talk to everyone. A big shout out to Ben and Bentley and Ella. Glad to see you guys this morning. So another fun race had by all. Like I said, next weekend, Sweetheart Shuffle, doing the 10K. If you're doing that race as well, guess what? It's another 9 a.m. start. I was told it's 9 a.m. But here's what you're going to do. You're not even going to listen to me. You're not going to take my word for it. You're going to go double check that time yourself, because guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to go double check that time myself so that we are all there with plenty of time to not be in a panicked frenzy thinking that you might potentially miss the start of a race and you just are all thrown off. I was so thrown off this morning, I didn't even take my gloves. So, man, my hands were cold this morning. And we all know from our cold running episode a few weeks ago, one of the coldest parts on you are your hands, because blood circulation getting to your hands when you're running is not always great. Not the best thing ever. So there we go. Double check your times. Always double check the start time of your race. Don't ever leave it to chance. Also, don't forget that coming up on March 11th, we do have the 1-year anniversary for the Back of the Pack podcast. That's going to be at Kelly's in Westport after the Westport St. Patrick's Day 4-miler. Now, I just saw this week, and I have prided myself and this show as being neutral ground in the Kansas City Race Company wars. And it's not even really a war. It's just there's options. There's always options out there. So I did see that I am telling you all to be at the Westport race when there is another race that day from another company who we are also friends with. The KC Sports Commission has the Big 12 run on March 11th, and that is down at T-Mobile Center in downtown Kansas City, Missouri. If you are a big college basketball fan, then you should probably go do that race. They have a 5K and they have a 12K, which is like right around 7 miles, maybe a hair over 7. So if you want to go run one of those races, go run the Big 12 run and then come over to Westport and join us for our party. We'll be there. Don't worry, we'll be there. But we are not beholden to one race or one race company. None of them expect us to be. So kudos to all of them. Everyone has been super cool with what we're doing here. But our buddy Dave over at the KC Sports Commission has the Big 12 run coming up on March 11th. And if you are a college basketball fan, because that is right in the heart of the Big 12 tournament, then by all means, go run that race. I've done that race before. I've done both the 5K and 12K. Very hilly downtown, but it's a very fun experience because if you know college basketball fans, you know what kind of experience that could be. People show up, they show out, dressed for their favorite teams, tons of KU, tons of K-State. There will even be people wearing Missouri gear because they're just still confused. And so come root on your favorite school and go run that race. It's another fun one. That's the same day as the Westport St. Patrick's Day 4-miler. But get out there and run. Do a race on that day. March 11th, we could have a beautiful day. Like I'm hoping. Now, if you remember our very first show last year, very first race we covered, which was Westport, I think starting temperature was 17 degrees. It was cold. It was really cold that day. So hopefully we luck out a little bit better this year and maybe we get some warmer temperatures. So whether you're running St. Pat's or you're doing Big 12, look at the weather, check your start time, and then meet us in Westport at Kelly's, which is actually not far at all from the Big 12 run, and come celebrate the 1-year birthday of the podcast. There's going to be cake. I'm just letting you know there's going to be cake. We're going to have cake. So if you want some cake, then come have some cake. I don't care what race you run. Bring your medal. Come have some cake. Ta-da. And celebrate 1 year. 1 year of you guys being awesome. 1 year of me having the most fun I've ever had doing podcast stuff. I've done podcasts previously. I had a religious-based podcast, and then I had a podcast for mental health, and those were great, and I enjoyed every minute of those. but this running podcast, I have kind of found where my passion in podcasting is. And it's right here, and it's with you guys, and it's with doing these races. And so I've really just been having so much fun over this last year. We're closing in on, we're getting close to about 45 episodes. So, we're almost to 50. When we hit 100, there's going to be another big party, because 100 podcasts is pretty good. That's pretty good work. If you're still staying relevant enough that people still listen. Trust me, if the listens ever fell down to 0 on this show, we'd be done. It would be finished. But as long as you guys keep listening, we're going to keep recording them, or until my knees completely blow out and I can never run again. And that's an option as well. That could definitely happen. So I think that's probably going to be it for our little hodgepodge episode. Again, no big message here, except for maybe check your times. Always check the race start time. Don't forget about Westport. Don't forget about Big 12. Do those. We're going to see you guys next weekend at the Sweetheart Shuffle. And then I think we've got a week off after that, which isn't really my choice. I don't want a week off. Yeah, it looks like on the weekend, February 18 and 19, we don't have a race, at least not a race I'm signed up for. So if you know of a race, or if you're going to do one, reach out to the podcast. I don't like weekends where I don't at least have one race. So if you know of a good race on the 18th or 19th of February, I want to know about it so that I can get signed up and go do it. So there we go. If you are listening, and if you've listened this deep into the episode, you now have a task. You have an assignment that you have been given. Give me a race on February 18 or 19 so I can cover it for the show. Deal? Deal. All right. Well, that's going to do it. Hey, thank you everyone at the Kickoff 5K for a great race. Sweetheart Shuffle next weekend for the 10K. Weather's looking like it's going to be good. Race around the 40-degree mark. I'll take that in February anytime I can get it. All right, everybody, have a great week. This has been the Back of the Pack podcast. I am your host, Kyle Walker. This show is brought to you by OKKC Sports and produced by the now well-known and well-nicknamed producer Katie O'Neill. We will now see you next week at Sweetheart Shuffle. Goodbye, everybody.